Okay, so let's talk about a mental tool that is, and I'm not kidding, a total game changer for how you experience, well, everything. We're going to dig into the shift from just reacting to stuff on autopilot to actually responding with intention. It sounds small, but trust me, it makes all the difference.
You know the feeling, right? Someone says something, something happens, and bam! Before you even know what you're doing, you've got this knee-jerk reaction. Maybe you say something you instantly regret. It happens to all of us, and it's the perfect place to start this whole explainer.
All right, so let's follow that automatic path for a second. Because if we can really get a handle on why we get triggered, that's the first step to, getting back in the driver's seat.
So when something triggers us, we're basically at a fork in the road. Path number one is the unconscious one. An event happens, and our ego, that part of us that's all built up from our past experiences and ideas about who we are, it just fires off a reaction. But there's another way, the observer path. And this is where we create just a little bit of space between the trigger and what we do next. That space is everything. It lets us respond consciously.
And listen, these triggers can pop up from literally anywhere. It could be a comment from someone, it could be something big happening in the world, a personal crisis. Heck, it could just be something you see or hear. But here's the key. The thing on the outside isn't the real problem. The real issue is how it gets filtered through our own internal programming.
And this really gets to the heart of it. That automatic freakout, it's not the real you. It's just an echo. It's a playback of old junk, old conditioning, and all the biases your ego holds onto. It's a reaction that's totally stuck in the past, not a real response to what's happening right now.
But what if you could just hit pause on that program? What if you could break that cycle? Well, you can. And this brings us right to the turning point, the hero of this story, the observer. This is the part of you that can change everything. This is the observer's superpower, right here. It's this incredible ability to just mentally take a step back from all the drama of the moment. Instead of getting yanked around by the trigger and the emotions, you become a witness to it all. You just watch your own thoughts and feelings as they pop up. Okay, that sounds really nice, right? But how in the world do you actually do that when you're seeing red? Let's get super practical. The source material gives us a really clear 3-step method to find this inner peace.
Now, before we jump into the steps, we got to understand this word transmute. This is not about bottling up your feelings or pretending they're not there. Nope. This is an active process. You're taking the raw, kind of chaotic energy of a negative thought or emotion and consciously changing it, converting it into stillness, into peace. The whole thing boils down to these 3 simple but powerful actions: identify, accept, and transmute. This is your toolkit. This is how you find peace in the middle of a storm. So let's break down exactly what each one means. Okay, step 1, identify. So a trigger hits, boom. The very first thing you do is turn your attention inside. What am I thinking right now? What am I feeling? And, this is the big one, where is this actually coming from? Is this a same response to the here and now? Or is this my ego, my old programming pulling all the strings? You're just noticing. No judgment allowed. Step 2 is acceptance. And let's be real, this can be the toughest part. It means you accept the reality of what just happened. You don't have to like it, you don't have to approve of it, but you stop fighting it in your head. You just accept that the event is. This simple act stops that internal war, that resistance that causes so much of our pain. And finally, step 3, transmute. With that little bit of space you've created by identifying and accepting, you can now consciously convert all that mental and emotional energy. You just let it dissolve into what the source calls still alert awareness. It's a fancy term for being calm, quiet, and totally present. So what happens when you actually put this into practice? Well, you start building a completely new way of dealing with the world. You actually start moving from reacting to responding. And here's the crucial point. When you operate from that quiet observer space, your actions are no longer being dictated by old programs. Instead, your response comes up from a much, much deeper place, a place of clarity, of wisdom, of what the source calls universal intelligence. I mean, look at the difference here. A reaction, that's all ego. It's biased, it's programmed. A response, though, is something else entirely. It's born from the observer, it comes from wisdom. It's rooted in the power of this very moment. It's night and day. And this isn't just some trick for when you're having a bad day. When you practice this over time, it actually becomes a way of life. It's about tapping into a deeper source of your own being. It sets off this amazing chain reaction. When you make space for inner stillness, that naturally leads to a state of peace. And it's only from that state of peace that real wisdom has the room it needs to show up and guide you. And what does that feel like? Well, it's a sense of inner spaciousness. Mental breathing room. Room to think,
to feel, to just be. And inside that space, wisdom isn't just a guest, it becomes your default setting. This is how you start to live in a state of true presence, fully here for whatever the moment brings.
So I'll just leave you with this question. The next time you feel that flash of anger, that little pang of anxiety, that urge to just react, just pause for a second. What would happen if, instead of letting the old program run, your next response came from a place of deep, unshakable peace? What could change for you?